Caitlin had developed a thick skin very early in life. It started in her first week in preschool when some of her friends began to decode the printed squiggles under the pictures in their children's books. When she couldn't do the same, they started to make fun of her. At 5 years old, it was hard to be called a dummy. Somehow, Caitlin didn't let it stop her. She told her mom that she couldn't read and she wanted to learn how. Her mother talked to the teacher and they got Caitlin a phonics coach. Not long after, Caitlin had caught up to her peers. But Caitlin's fight against her dyslexia was far from over. Caitlin had difficulty solving basic math problems. Soon her classmates resumed the jeers of "you're stupid and you're not like the rest of us." Caitlin would come home from first grade, run to her room and cry. She would make excuses to her mother about how she was sick and couldn't go to school the next day. But when morning came, Caitlin set her chin and went to school. She asked her teacher for extra help with math. Eventually, she found ways to overcome her problems with math, and it took a combination of tips, techniques, and some software, but eventually she could perform well enough to get a B in math. It would never be her favorite subject, but she was able to overcome her strong fear of failure and focus on the math itself. When she started to understand math, her classmate critics switched to another weakness. When playing games during recess, Caitlin would go left when her friends would tell her to go right. Then they would again say she was stupid because she couldn't tell the difference between the different directions. Caitlin was hurt again until her mother found some tricks that could help Caitlin get directions right. After that, her grade school classmates stopped her attacks and accepted her without any more cruel messages. Caitlin had won a hard-fought victory. In middle school, another characteristic of dyslexia caused emotional pain for Caitlin. As the topics covered in school became more complicated, Caitlin would have trouble remembering the steps of a process or a set of instructions in the correct order. She would scramble everything and look foolish doing so. Again came the personal attacks and she felt terrible. By now, though, Caitlin and her parents had a process for overcoming this difficulty. They researched ways of helping her remember the steps in the correct order. After she began to use these techniques, this problem and its emotional pain went away. By the time Caitlin reached high school, she had become an expert at dealing with the intense emotions that came from the personal attacks resulting from her dyslexia. And if she encountered a new way in which dyslexia affected her life, she ignored any attacks from so-called friends and looked for ways to deal with the newfound difficulty. Caitlin wanted to go to college and study art, a subject she loved. For all the problems that dyslexia had generated, it had given her an exceptional creative ability. She could paint images that were vivid and lifelike and made scenes jump off the canvas. Caitlin was determined to follow her dream of becoming a professional artist. At the start of her senior year in high school, Caitlin got a letter of acceptance to a college famous for its development of students in the creative arts. Caitlin's courage had paid off. She would follow her dreams.